All right, Rob, so we just had Carl's new opponent lined up, Youssef Mack. Do you know much about him yet?
Yeah, I know a bit about him. He's an interesting opponent. He's a decent boxer, awkward kind of style, can punch a little bit, and he's campaigned at light heavyweight. And we've seen with light heavyweights in the past, like Glenn Johnson, they drop back down to super middleweight, and they're extremely strong and tough. So he'll be a durable opponent with decent boxing skills. And we're happy with the opponent. We think it'll be a good fight.
With all due respect, with the run that Carl's been on, it is a slight dip down, isn't it?
You could say that, yeah, for sure. On form and stuff, then you'd have to say that, because Carl's fought all the elite fighters for the last 4 years, non-stop around the world. So yeah, he's not of that ilk, but he'll look at it as a massive opportunity. He'll look at it dropping down a weight, fighting a smaller man than he's used to fighting, and he'll really be 100% keyed up and on his game for it. So you can't certainly underestimate him in any way. Yeah, of course, he's not of the calibre of the opponents Carl's been boxing, but I'm sure he'll bring an almighty challenge, because he's been campaigning at light heavy. I think we saw with Glenn Johnson just how tough and strong these light heavyweights are dropping back down. The super middleweights don't appear to have the same effect on them that they have, that they have with other super middleweights. But yeah, he's not of the calibre of the opponents he's been boxing, but I'm sure he'll be a good opponent.
And Cole does deserve to have a slightly easier time of it, doesn't he? I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to be a walk in the park, but you can see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at Carl Froch, he's British, and he's a genuine world champion. He genuinely fights at the elite level, and he's a winner at the elite level, and we're not used to that over here. We're just not. And if you look at somebody like Youssef and say, yeah, he's not of the calibre of an Andre Ward, a Lucien Bute, but at the same time, he's a good fighter, and he's a real handful. And I think if it was a normal British fighter fighting a Youssef Mack, it'd be a hard challenge and a big fight. But it's Carl Froch, and he's an elite fighter, so I'm sure that people will say we'd like to see him in with Kessler, Ward, Bute, etc. And those fights will happen hopefully next year. But at the same time, you can't underestimate anyone in this sport. And Youssef Mack's a tough fighter. Good record. He's a lot of wins, 4 losses, all against top opposition, and he'll come and give a challenge. But for sure, Carl should be successfully resigning against Youssef Mack.
We've seen this talk about Lucien Bute perhaps being interested in the rematch. Are you surprised that they're interested?
Not really, because fighters are fighters, and it's a big fight, and they'll always want to know if Bute had a really bad night. I think it was something to do with Carl, why he had that bad night, and I think they underestimated Carl as well. People don't know how good Carl Froch is. If you look at Glenn Johnson's coach and Andre Ward's coach before the Bute Froch fight, they were both strong on Froch's favour. They felt sure, and with good reason, that Froch would beat Lucien Bute. Lots of people didn't see it that way. They all thought Bute was coming over for a win against Carl Froch, which to me is madness and ludicrous. How on earth can you underestimate Carl Froch when he's boxed at the level he's boxed at, and he's beaten the people he's beaten? So one of those fights that you'll say, well, Mack's not fought at the same level, and when he has done it, it hasn't happened for him. Mack will think he can change that, but for sure Froch is a formidable fighter, and he'll be a strong favourite going in against Mack.
Okay, you have another challenge on your hands, a different sort. How confident are you of being able to keep the Team GB, the squad that we had at the Olympics, together now?
Well, it'll be interesting. Look, hopefully you want to keep as many of the squad together. You want to keep all the squad together if possible and move on towards Brazil. But the boxers are individuals. It's up to them what they want to do with their futures and their boxing careers. We'll have a chat when they all come back in. They're having a well-earned rest at the minute. They've had a long old 3 years on the road. We've been to Europeans, Worlds, obviously Olympics now, and they've had a heavy schedule. But we want them to do whatever they want to do. But of course, we'll be encouraging them to stay. Amateur boxing's changed. There's funding. There's other forms of stuff with APB, with WSB, and within IEBA. They get they're funded by UK Sport, which is brilliant. The lottery funding's just made an incredible difference to how we operate as a nation, boxing wise, in the amateur code. But I want them to do whatever they want to do. But for sure, I'll encourage them to stay and push on for Brazil, because I think as many as this team we can keep together, the better, because it's a really good team.
What were your highs and lows of the London Games?
I think the low was Stalker. I thought it was a really poor decision. I thought he was a clear winner. I just could not see how anybody couldn't see that he was a clear winner. you know, if you thought he didn't win, you didn't really watch the fight. And you know, the other low was, it was disappointing. Savannah's the reigning world champion. She's very young. She's only a youngster. She's only 20, and it's a massive occasion. And you know, it just didn't quite work out for her. But I'm sure she'll be firing on all cylinders over the next 4 years, moving on towards Brazil, and she'll come through, and she'll do great at Brazil. She's a tremendous boxer. She's the reigning world champion, and she beat the Olympic gold medalist comfortably in China 3 months ago in the World Championship. So it shows you her calibre. And just all-round disappointment with boxers that didn't medal. Obviously, Selby, Josh Taylor. You know, people, Natasha Jonas, that have worked the hard, put everything into it, had a real rough, tough draw. Lots of fighters had tough draws, and it didn't quite happen for them. But they've got another chance to go at it again. They've got 4 more years to get it right for Brazil, and there's no reason why any of those boxers can't medal at Brazil. And the highs were obvious. That Big Josh, Luke Campbell, Nicola Adams, Fred Evans, Anthony Agogo, absolutely brilliant performances, and they pushed through and got the medal. So it's fantastic, for not just for boxing, I felt for the nation, and it put boxing in a really good light. You saw these athletes working hard, conducting themselves brilliantly, and showing what talent they've got, and it bodes well for the future with the talent coming through in the UK. I think we've got some real good boxers coming through.
Also looks like the Brazilians could be a real handful in Rio, though, doesn't it?
Oh, without a doubt, the Brazilians were a handful in London. Really strong team. We did our last camp with them about 2 weeks before the games. Very tough, very strong, very skillful team, and they did really well in London. So that'll be a hard ask to beat a Brazilian in Brazil. But you know, that's what we do. That's what our boxers are prepared for, and I'm sure we'll go to Brazil and we'll do well there as well.
From a personal standpoint, obviously you've got Team GB, you've got Carl Froch. Are you going to take on any more pros?
I'm very busy, as you know. I love boxing. I love working with boxers, so I'll always work with boxers. It's what I love doing, and you know, the Olympic job and the GB job's a fantastic job. It's something that I cherish. I'm proud to do it. It's an honour to do it, and I'll do it as long as they want me to do it. I love working with the fighters.